Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So there's a fighter that has been in the ring with Terence Bud Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. He's moved up in weight, just like Terence Crawford is planning on doing, and that is Amir Khan. Amir Khan, he gave a very interesting take on how that fight would play out. He also gave a take on how he thought Canelo versus Charlo would play out. Now, once again, you're getting the perspective of a professional boxer, just like when Oscar De La Hoya, when he gave his take on how the fight would play out. Amir Khan actually believes that Canelo will beat Charlo, but when it comes to Terence Crawford, he says something different. Check it out.
Canelo-Crawford. See, I think that Crawford could beat him because Crawford is a big 147 fighter and is strong as well, which a lot of people don't give him the credit for. I think that fight, if it does happen, as long as Crawford stays away and just boxes and be smart, he can win that fight. I think Crawford's a better fighter than Charlo, and he's a smart fighter as well. He switches and everything, so that would be a very good fight. But size makes a massive difference.
So if you guys notice, the majority of the professional boxers are all saying the same thing when it comes to a possible fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. It's so ironic because when it comes to Canelo versus Charlo, people are down the middle. Or it can even be said the majority of people are picking Canelo to beat Jamal Charlo. But when it comes to Crawford, who has to move up 3 weight classes instead of 2 weight classes, he's pretty much the favorite to beat Canelo, at least according to the professional boxers that do this for a living. What Amir Khan said was analogous to what Oscar De La Hoya just recently said about that potential fight. And notice, when they talk about this fight, they give you an analytical breakdown. I see Canelo Alvarez fans in my comment section with no talking points of boxing, just saying, hey, stop hating on Canelo and this and that, right? And I responded to some of them and said, but you're not disagreeing with anything that Oscar De La Hoya said. You're not disagreeing with anything that I said. And you're not talking about boxing. You're just making like agenda-based points. But when these boxers talk about these fights, they're giving you a scientific breakdown. They have no agenda. Because while both Oscar De La Hoya and Amir Khan give Canelo Alvarez a much better chance of beating Jamal Charlo, they both believe the smaller Terence Crawford, he beats Canelo Alvarez hands down, at least according to Oscar De La Hoya.
He will make Canelo look like a child.
Can he beat Canelo?
Terence Crawford will beat Canelo anytime. Just with the skill set alone, Terence Crawford is a master. He will make him look like a child. And that's just my boxing experience. Do I want Canelo to win? Yes. You know, I promoted Canelo and I want the best for him, and then I want the best for any fighter, but from a promoter's view, from an expert view, from a fighter's view, and don't forget it, it's 10 world titles in 6 divisions. From that perspective, Crawford will beat him in a master performance, master class, any given day.
Why can he overcome the 3 weight divisions?
Talent alone. Look at Canelo's footwork. He's walking on cement. Look at Crawford's footwork. He coordinates it with his upper body. His footwork, it's just incredible.
And that right there is what you call a complete analytical breakdown. Oscar De La Hoya, he broke down every single attribute and every single flaw. So if you're going to try to refute anything that Oscar or Amir Khan said, then you're supposed to do it by breaking down the analytical facts, the attributes, talk about the flaws and the advantages of both fighters. But stop taking it personal and talking with emotions because your feelings got hurt because you heard something that you didn't want to hear. I'm obviously talking to these race fans, these Canelo Alvarez race fans in particular. The more you hear professional boxers break down this fight, the more we all start to realize that this whole Canelo Alvarez saying, oh, if I fight him, I won't get the credit. And now fans, Canelo Alvarez fans, they're starting to say the same thing. They have no interest in this fight because deep down, they feel the exact same way that Oscar De La Hoya and Amir Khan feels about this fight. This is how they feel deep down. But they're not going to say that because they have to stay on code. They're just upset with people like Oscar De La Hoya because he's going off code by telling the truth, giving an honest assessment. Canelo Alvarez has been a walking contradiction since he first became a star in the sport of boxing. Canelo has made a reputation off of fighting much smaller opponents. He always went after guys no one wanted to see him fight. There was a time when Canelo Alvarez was going after Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz gets knocked out or gets stopped by Josito Lopez, who was smaller than Victor Ortiz. For those of you guys who don't know the story, Josito Lopez was fighting at 140. He moved up to 147 to fight Victor Ortiz. Then Canelo Alvarez called him out, so then he moved up to 154. Just for that one fight, he moved up to 154 to fight Canelo Alvarez. Now, Josito Lopez and Amir, these are just the big names that Canelo Alvarez fought that were smaller guys moving up in weight. But he's been doing it his entire career, fighting naturally smaller guys. And it's only when it comes to the best fighter in the world, the true Michael Jordan of the sport, Terence Crawford, that's when Canelo Alvarez says, oh, well, I'm not going to get credit if I beat him, etc., etc. We all know if it was a Caleb Smith, a Caleb Plant, if it was a Abney Yildirim that was at 147 and they just won a belt and they were talking about moving up to fight Canelo, we know Canelo would take the fight in a heartbeat because Canelo has done this his entire career. Matter of fact, the first world title that Canelo Alvarez won, he won it against Matthew Hatton. Matthew Hatton wasn't even ranked in the weight class. They had Matthew Hatton move up from 147. He wasn't even ranked at 154. And they put him in a title shot against Canelo Alvarez for a vacant belt. So once again, this is not adding up. The majority of the professional boxers are picking the much smaller Terence Crawford to beat Canelo Alvarez easy. And Canelo Alvarez is saying it makes no sense to take that fight because I won't get the credit for it. Do you guys remember when Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia? Well, at that time, Mikey Garcia was considered pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world. Can you imagine if the majority of professional boxers were saying before that fight came to fruition, if they were saying, Mikey Garcia, he's going to win that fight easy? Can you imagine if everyone was saying that? We already know Errol Spence would take the fight. He already took the fight without people saying that, right? And Errol Spence, he pretty much ruined Mikey Garcia's career. He pretty much ended his career. And even when it comes to Terence Crawford, when there were rumors that Gervonta Tank Davis wanted to move up to 147 and fight Terence Crawford, Terence Crawford said he would take that fight in a heartbeat. He also did say, yeah, people will try to take the credit away from me, but I would take that fight in a heartbeat. How come Canelo is not doing the same thing when he has done this multiple times in the past against weaker opposition? That is a rhetorical question. In a sport like boxing that is based on race, nationality, and pride, if Canelo Alvarez were to beat an undefeated Terence Crawford, who's considered the best fighter in the world, of course Canelo Alvarez would get an enormous amount of credit. Now, Canelo, he wouldn't get the same credit that Crawford would get if he wins, because Crawford is at a massive disadvantage, of course. Crawford has to move up 3 weight classes. All Canelo has to do is make weight like he always does. It's a big difference. Like Amir Khan said, weight definitely matters. It's just Terence Crawford is one of those very, very special talents that only comes around every once in a while. This is something else about these Canelo Alvarez fans. This is how you could tell how disingenuous they are when they say stuff like, oh yeah, there's no reason to fight him. Canelo's not going to get the credit. Notice, none of these Canelo Alvarez fans in my comment section or on the internet at all, none of them are saying he should be fighting David Benavidez. Forget fighting the much smaller Crawford. He should be fighting David Benavidez. They're not saying that either. So they don't want to see him fight against the smaller Crawford. They also don't want to see him fight the David Benavidez, his mandatory, who's his exact same size. What they're saying is they don't want to see Canelo Alvarez take another L. That's all they're saying, because they're not boxing fans, they're race fans. When it comes to me, I'm a real boxing fan. I want to see the fight regardless if my guy is going to lose or he's going to win, because I want to know who is the best at the end of the day. When Jermell Charlo fights Canelo Alvarez this month, I'm rooting for my country, regardless if Charlo wins or loses this fight. I'd rather this fight happen regardless of the results. But that's not how these race fans that root for Canelo see it. They would rather not see the fight if they feel there's any chance of their guy losing. And that's why, once again, you're not going to see too many comments from Mexican fans saying they want to see Canelo versus Crawford or David Benavidez. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado, but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, fever blisters, diabetic ulcers, this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called LO Key Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to LODkey.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram.